And we live. Hi, everybody. This is Jona. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for tuning in actually at the Empower and Thrive a Holistic Approach in Business podcast, episode number 9. Who could believe it's number 9? So, week 9 that we are into this live talks. Today, here we have a special guest. This is Chadwick. I will do a quick introduction about Catherine. So I'm going to leave the floor to her to do a more complete and more on the point, actually, introduction. Catherine is a therapist working with hypnotherapy and integral eye movement therapy. Very interesting, this one, Catherine. Specializing in helping people with fear of public speaking, social anxiety, and stop smoking. Today we are not here about all of these topics, which Catherine is an expert, but we're gonna go and we're gonna dive into something different: relaxation and productivity. Catherine, the floor is yours. Thank you so much for being my special guest. Please make the introductions and tell our audience who you are, what you do, and what is that you are talking today.
So thank you, Jona. So yes, so as Jona said, I'm a therapist working with hypnotherapy and integral eye movement therapy. And I've been a therapist for many years. And prior to working with psychological therapists, I worked with bodywork therapists. So I did things like craniosacral therapy and others. And so the connection between the body and the mind is, a very obvious one to me, having done those trainings. And I became, very interested in when you train as a hypnotherapist. There's a lot of talk about relaxation, how you help people to relax, and so on. But in addition to that, I came across a psychologist called Ernest Rossi, and he had particularly interesting information about how the body responds to relaxation, and how you can make use of that to actually work better, in effect. So basically, one of the questions Jona asked me was, why don't we allow ourselves to relax during the working day? And I think that it's very much a conditioned thing for people to think that they're weak or they're lazy if they just can't, continuously work for hours on end without a break, or that we're letting ourselves down, that kind of thing. And I think that some of that is, how things have evolved. Certainly, when I first started work, we had 15-minute break in the morning, an hour for lunch, a 15-minute break in the afternoon, and that was part of your contract. I mean, it was written into your contract. I think part of it comes from a lack of understanding about how the body works, and we have separated the mind from the body very much, and think that the mind operates separately from the body, which in fact isn't the case. If we take the nervous system has two branches to it. So it has what's called the sympathetic nervous system branch and the parasympathetic branch. So the sympathetic branch could be called the active, arousing aspect of the nervous system. And the parasympathetic is the complete opposite. So it's the relaxation and rejuvenation part of the nervous system. And these two are meant to work together. And if you've got them nicely balanced, then you will feel quite sort of peaceful and focused and able to do what you want to do. So if you think of a cat, for example, if you see a cat protecting its territory, for example, say against another cat, it'll be very much focused and very tense. And then when things have calmed down, it'll be fast asleep by the fire. And this is an example of the nervous system in action, able to respond, but also able to relax. And I came across the work of a psychologist called Ernest Rossi, and he's written a book called The 20-Minute Break. Now, his work is based on that of Nathaniel Kleitman, who was a sleep researcher. And in the 1950s, he discovered, or he was led to believe that within the human body there are there are rhythms. So we have the circadian rhythm, which we all know about, the 24-hour sleep waking cycle. But within that, we have what are called ultradian rhythms. So these are rhythms that operate several times a day. So, for example, we, things like hormones that our body releases several times a day. One of these ultradian rhythms Kleitman discovered was called the basic rest activity cycle. And this cycle is one where we have approximately 90 minutes where we can do good productive work. So we can be very focused, we can be very acute, our minds can be, very active. And then we've probably all experienced this, that we'll start to feel a bit fuzzy and spaced out. Maybe we make mistakes, that kind of thing. Because the next part of the cycle is that we should take a 20-minute break. Now, this 20-minute break is not just some useless, meaningless thing. During that 20-minute break, if we allow ourselves to take it, then the mind actually starts to assimilate the activity of the previous 90 minutes and also refresh and rejuvenate the processes that you have been using in that 90 minutes prior. And then at the end of that 20 minutes, we'll feel ready to come back to work. So it's a wave that goes through the 24-hour cycle. So it carries on through sleep, but with different things going on during sleep. So Rossi made a study very much of this, and he found that when people regularly overrode those natural breaks or signals to take a break and worked through it, that eventually they were more prone to stress-related conditions, so headaches, digestive problems, and all manner of high blood pressure, all manner of conditions. So we have this natural inbuilt rhythm that is designed to give us maximum access to our ability to focus and be productive. And then the second part of the wave to restore and replenish that so we can come back into the next bit fully restored with all our psychological capacities restored. Now, a cardiologist called Herbert Benson, he was doing some work on high blood pressure. And during his work, he got very interested in these ultradian rhythms. And he said that people who regularly moved out of a very productive state of mind intentionally into a very relaxed stage for a period of time naturally experienced greater insights. So the thinking is that if you pay attention to this rhythm, you will maximize your mental abilities. So it's said that things like verbal and spatial skills, eye-hand coordination, short-term memory, mental alertness, imagination, creativity, concentration and learning are all affected by this rhythm. So if you don't give yourself the restorative times, then the thinking is that those abilities kind of get a little bit not quite as sharp with those abilities. And so my suggestion, so obviously that's kind of quite a luxury to take 20-minute breaks every 90 minutes. but and you know how you use those breaks, whether you take those breaks or not, or striving to take those 20-minute breaks, which might be, as I said, you know, when I started work, you know, in the one in the morning, one in the afternoon, is to, you know, just relax, just to, you know, sit doing nothing, and just tune into where you can find comfort in your body. And you know, at other times when you may not be able to take those breaks, to still find ways of honouring when you get that kind of call to move away from your work, in other ways. So perhaps to go for a short walk, to, you know, just stare out of the window, to just sit in your chair and close your eyes, but to know that you're not wasting time by taking breaks. You're allowing your body mind to restore. You are giving yourself the possibility of being more productive because you come back with things restored. Personally, I find that, you know, I might be doing a piece of work, then I have a break and I come back and you know, something has sorted in my mind and I want to change something in line with that. So it's a kind of repair and assimilation and restoration that's going on in those periods of time when you take a break to relax, and contribute to greater productivity in those times when you're actually working. So what I would say is that it's not wasting time, that perhaps you're doing perhaps you owe it to yourself, your customers, your clients. If you're employed, then perhaps you owe it to your employers to take breaks so that when you're working, you're in your best shape, as it were.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Catherine. This is very informative and quite daunting. Not daunting in terms of what action to take, but daunting in terms of understanding that it's really something that we as busy entrepreneurs, business owners, must action upon, because it's really important for productivity, as you were mentioning, but it's also in terms of the quality of work we want to deliver. I believe this is very much linked to the quality of work, because, for example, if I have to focus too much on a plan, building up a strategy, if I don't have a little break in between sessions, that means that the strategy will not be flowing quite as I expect it to be, or as I want the client to have the strategy in place. So it's really, really important. I completely agree with you. But I've got a little question here.
Mhm.
So we now understand, hopefully, the importance of taking breaks. Doesn't matter mini breaks or longer breaks. It's up to every individual, I believe, to manage their time. But ideally, what is the time? So not the length of the break itself, but for example, we're doing some work. I'm sitting here doing some content, or I'm doing some creative work, or if you're not creative, some boring work or admin work. But after what period of time should I take a little break to have my brain refreshed and energized?
Well, if we think about if we're thinking about the basic rest activity cycle, it's said that that your mind is kind of primed to be at its most um, focused and productive for around 90 minutes, or 90 minutes to 120 minutes. So you're looking at an hour and a half to 2 hours. Now, it will vary, you know, from person to person exactly, you know, within that frame. So the key is really to think in terms of that. I'm going to be really productive for 90 minutes, or, you know, to tune and get more in tune with your body. So at that point, which might be a little bit before, a little bit after, when you start to feel, you will start to feel when you need to take a break. So you perhaps, you know, as I say, your mind starts to become a bit fuzzy. You start to perhaps, you know, make mistakes, that kind of thing. That's your kind of signal that you need to take a break, that your mind is telling you this is the time when you should now be resting so that your inner mind can assimilate everything you've been doing and recharge. And then you can come back again for another 90 minutes or so. So that's basically the rhythm. And I think one thing I noticed that I think illustrates this is with smokers. If people work with in offices with people who smoke, and when I work with people who come to me for stopping smoking, is that very often they will have a cigarette when they're at work. They will have a cigarette every couple of hours. You know, they get the cigarettes, they go out of the office, they go downstairs, they go outside, have a little smoke, and then they come back. So that's probably because they're getting that kind of signal that they need a break, and it's around, you know, the 2 hour mark. So so I would say that you think in terms of that 90 minutes or so, but be aware of, you know, when you're getting that sense that you need, you know, things just aren't, you're not quite as sharp as you were. That's the time to take the break.
So
And
thank you.
one other thing that I
Yes.
think is really helpful with this, I mentioned Ernest Rossi, the 20-minute break. He says to peak your peaks and trough your troughs. So basically what he's saying is that in that 90 minutes or so, really, you know, focus on the work that you're doing. And then when you are taking a break, make it a proper break. You know, don't then start scrolling your phone or doing anything that requires concentration. Sit and relax, go into a quiet room and just, you know, sit on your own, go for a walk, you know, do something that doesn't require mental activity. And then that just allows your inner mind to restore itself.
Thank you, Catherine. So what can be one of the simple relaxation practices we can implement in our day to day, starting from today, from 12:30,
From
let's
right
say.
now, exactly.
So we're gonna have 30 minutes of conversation live. So we really need a break. So what we are able to do now? What would you suggest? Thank
So
you.
I have got a little exercise here. Would you like me to take you through it?
Sorry. If it's in between 3 to 4 minutes, that's fine. If it's a technique or something you want to share, that's fine.
Okay, so I'll just take you through a little bit of it. What do you think? A couple of minutes or so?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's fair. Yeah.
And anybody who's listening might like to follow along.
Yeah, if they can want to chip in, they can do that. Or if they want to, when they watch the replay, they can practice that on their own.
All right.
Definitely.
Okay. So this is a very, very simple one, and I chose this one because um, you know, you can literally just do it where you are if you want to. So so I'll just talk you through it, and if you like, you can follow along. So um, so the first part of it is to just settle down comfortably in your chair, and you can also do this on a bed if you have that luxury. And I would just close your eyes, because when you close your eyes, you cut out external distractions.
Catherine, do you want me to do that on live? I can do
If
that.
you would like to, if you would like
Yeah,
to, Jona.
yeah. I'll close my eyes for a second. But please guide me. Thank
You're
you.
quite safe. And just take a few moments to notice your breathing. And now take your mind through your body from head to toe, just mentally feeling each tension. And now take your attention into your right hand and let it rest there for a few seconds. And now take your attention into your left hand and let it rest there for several seconds. And now take your attention into your right foot and let it rest there for several seconds. And now take your attention into your left foot and let it rest there. And now take your attention to your mouth and your throat and let it rest there for a few moments. And once more, take your attention into your right hand. And now your left hand. Now take your attention into your right foot. And now your left foot. And now take your attention to your mouth and your throat and just let it rest there. And when you're ready, you can just bring yourself back to the room and open your eyes.
That was very relaxing.
Good.
I almost forgot I was on the live. Like really, really very relaxing. So this is something really worth.
And it's very simple. I only did it, repeated it once, but you can repeat it again from the hands. And it can just take a few minutes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. This is so my question would be, it's not even a question almost, but yeah. So I talk a lot about being consistent with your messaging on the platforms, on the digital world, with your brand, and part of the business, because this is who I help with. So these are the clients that are looking, they're looking for this sort of guidance. So how can we incorporate and be consistent with our relaxation routine? How can we make it a routine in our daily life?
I would say that probably the easiest way to do it is to, once you begin to kind of get an idea of your own rhythm, to actually timetable it in, put it in your diary or your calendar. you mentioned with working with clients. I mean, personally, I see clients for 75 to 90 minutes, but I book a 2-hour slot so that I've got half an hour to recuperate, as we've described, and make notes and so on. So I think the thing to do is to think about, to try some of this out, and then to think about reframing the relaxation of the importance of relaxation, that it's not wasted time, that actually you are by allowing your mind to relax, by allowing your mind body to relax, you are actually supporting your productivity. And in that sense, if you begin to take that on board, then it becomes much easier to make it more of a consistent practice. And maybe even put in your diary that between a certain hour you're not working, you're not seeing clients, you're not however your day normally pans out. The other thing you can do, if you can't take a proper break, is to do non-demanding work in those times, like filing and so on, if you feel you need to carry on working. But it's changing your mindset, I think, to realize that you are supporting your working day rather than wasting time or detracting from the course of your work by relaxing.
Very helpful. Thank you so much, Catherine. I think you touched on my last question, which is one simple relaxation tip. So what can we do and how to implement that in our daily life? But so we are at the last minute of the live. Thank you so much for everything, for what you shared, your insight and your experience. I'd like to know if you are currently running any workshops or you are running any webinars or anything that you are running for the audience that who might watch the replay later on and want to join or follow you somewhere in your activities.
No, I don't have anything like that going on, Jona, at the moment. So thank you for asking me.
That's fine. So everybody, if you hopefully will watch the replay later on, or if you are watching the live, please pop any question to Catherine. You can pop them to me or in the comments, and then I'll direct them to Catherine, as she's the expert in the relaxation and productive techniques. But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Catherine, for being my guest speaker, and everyone who watched the live and is going to watch the replay again. Tune in for next week for another episode number 10 with another guest speaker, and I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye, Catherine. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.